Well, welcome to my wood turning workshop. I'm Gavin from Cowell Island, and today I am going to be giving you a quick little look at how to use my angle finder jig to precisely aim the McNaughton curved blades like these ones. Alright, the first thing I need to do is just show you how to quickly put together the jig, which comes as 4 separate pieces of perspex. What you need to do is get the first piece, which is, each one has a number on it, insert the screws up through it so that the number is facing upwards and the screws are facing upwards out of it. Then take the second piece, which has got the number 2 on it, and insert that on top. Take the third piece, which also just needs to be slotted on. There's a number of different holes to choose. It doesn't matter which one you put it through at this stage in time, but I'm going to be putting it through the green hole since I know that's the one I'm going to be wanting to use. Take the fourth piece, which also just slots straight on top, like so. Then what you do is you grab the washers, throw a washer on the top of each, put the wing nut on that side there without dropping it, like so, and just loosely tighten up, and take the little nut, put it on top, and with some appropriate devices just go and tighten that up so it's just nice and loose. So now that you've got the jig put together, the other thing that I would also do is grab the 3 different blades that go with the curve set and put on some different coloured tape that corresponds with the different coloured lines on the jig. To use this jig, it does help to understand how it works. So, if you can imagine that this is the side profile of your bowl blank, obviously this bit here is what you would hold in your chuck, and this is obviously the face of the bowl. If you want the cut to start here and go through to this point here to get a nice sort of even wall thickness for your bowl, the first thing I'd do is just check which of the blades would be the right one to use for this particular size bowl. And just to give you, that's probably the one. So I would say that this blade here, which is the green blade, would be the correct one to use. So the first thing that you need to do is just to set up the jig to be used with the green blade. To do that, you just need to simply loosen off the wing nut, push that bolt most of the way out, and then adjust it around so that it goes up through the green hole, and then put the wing nut back on again. Now, to use this jig, all you need to do is to flip it over this way up, keeping the long straight edge of the jig parallel with the face of the bowl, and the tip of the jig needs to be in line with where the cut wants to start, and you also need to keep the tip of the jig in line with the face of the bowl as well. And when you've got that right, you just need to then adjust the jig around until your green line, in this case, lines up nicely with where you want the cut to finish. And that's looking pretty good about there. And then having a look, I can see that it's set on -9. Now, the great thing about this jig is it doesn't just only find the angle for you, it actually helps set the 5-pin gate in exactly the right place to achieve the cut at that angle. Now, to do this, first of all, what you need to do is actually change or inverse the number that you've set it at, which in this case is -9. I'd change that through to +9. It doesn't matter what your angle was that you first found. Let's say it was actually 20, I'd be changing it to -20. To do this, you just loosen that off, change it around to, in this case, +9, and tighten it up again. Now, why this is the case is that we set it using this side, and now we're going to be using it this way round. What you then do is place the 2 holes which are at the bottom of the jig over top of the 2 pins that you'll be using, and because I'm using the medium size set, it's these 2 here. So what you do is you place the 2 over top like that, and then it's just a matter of adjusting the position of your banjo until this flat edge here is parallel with the face of the bowl, and that this point here is in line with the start of the cut that you want to make. And hey presto, it's now set up in the perfect place for the cut to happen. Now, to show you how to do it on an actual bowl blank, sadly I didn't actually have any bowl blanks I haven't already processed, so I've just cut a piece of plywood just to slot into the front of this particular bowl, just to make it look like a solid bowl again. Now, to get the marks that we need up here on the profile to use the jig, what I'd do is I would just quickly mark a straight line right across the bowl, another line vertically straight upwards to the rim, and then all the way down the outside edge of the bowl, all the way down to the chuck. I would then, obviously with a ruler, mark out the different points that I want to actually be cutting to make the different bowls, and just remembering that you do need to allow for the 10mm thickness of the actual cutting edge when you are marking these out. What you then want to do is, with a rule, just mark where these cutting points here are up to the rim of the bowl. Just like that, and again there. And then most importantly, what you want to do is to mark these on the actual profile of the bowl. Like so. Now, the next thing to do is to mark where the cuts want to end up here on this top line. To do that, what I do, because I know that the depth here wants to be the same as the wall thickness up here, I just use a pencil as a gauge and just eyeball that and mark that's the bottom one there, and the next one in be there. Beautiful. So now that we have got the marks on the profile for both where the 2 different cuts want to start here and also finish up here, all you need to do is to grab the jig, once again making sure that the long straight edge of the jig is parallel with the face of the bowl, that the tip of the jig, the sharp point I should say, is in line with the rim of the bowl, and also with the first cut. You simply then adjust it around until the green line here lines up with where you want the cut to finish, and that looks pretty good there. I can then turn that over, have a look, and see it looks like it's set on -10, so I would adjust that around to +10, lock that down in place, and it's now ready to set the 5-pin gate in the right place. So now that we've got the angle finder jig set up correctly, what we need to do is to get the gate set in the right place. Now to do that, pop the gate into your banjo, and then with the jig you'll find that there's 2 large holes on the bottom of the jig. What you need to do is place them over the 2 pins that you'll be supporting the blade with, which, because I'm using the medium sized blades, it's going to be these 2 pins here. So just like so, and then it is just a matter of once again aligning the jig so that the long straight edge of the jig is parallel with the face of the bowl, and that the tip of the jig is touching the face of the bowl, and also obviously in line with where you want that cut to first start. Which that looks pretty good there. You can then just lift off the jig, and hey presto, the gate is now set up in exactly the right place. It doesn't matter about the movement like that, because once you have the blade in place and the blade starting in the right place, everything is aligned perfectly to make that first cut all the way around to that preset depth that we sorted out earlier. Happy turning!